Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping up March Madness. It is the last day of March on this Friday. Man, I'll tell you right now, I am ready for the weekend. It has been a frustrating morning as we've been talking to wholesalers around the world, and everybody's talking. It's incredible. It really, truly is. The availability of everything is hanging by a thread. We tried. I'll say this: silver $50, most likely, barring some miracle, will probably be out of stock by Monday, and a lot of the other stuff right behind it. $20 gold gone. You know, look at today, 24.60 on 20s. I'm gonna say this. I've never said it before, but I'm gonna say it. Don't buy them. Buy the tens. Buy the tens. The tens, $1,200 every day. You know what? If you want to pay more, wait another day. That's going to be our new slogan. If you want to pay more, wait another day. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Friday. 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And Barclays is out with a note saying, yeah, round one of the bank runs may be over, but round two is getting ready to start. China, man, what a crazy last couple of days with China. Yesterday, we told you the first time ever, 65,000 tons of liquefied natural gas from UAE through France's Total, traded in renminbis this morning. They weren't done. Two other big announcements. The first one coming from Saudi Arabia saying, hey, guess what? We're in. Yep, we're joining up with China. You betcha. And then Brazil said, hey, guess what? Yeah, we're in. We just signed a whole bunch of trade deals that are going to be traded in renminbis. Jason, the storm is here. And China letting it be known. Who was it? I'll find out who it was, but it was one of the majors out there, financial majors, saying China wants to take center stage in the new currency reset. So, Jason, a lot of things happening here.
Get the feeling too that they're pushing to get a lot of this accomplished this year and next year, because who knows who the next American president is going to be. So you almost it feels like there's an urgency right now this year and maybe next year, right, Joe? There's not a lot of time to steal as much business as they can from the dollar, right?
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, the pace has picked up, and I think that again all of these countries were already moving in this direction. And then all of a sudden, there's a little banking crisis. All of a sudden, Jay Powell and Joe Biden. Listen, I've said it over and over. They are both extremely, extremely weak. Now, Janet Yellen looks weak. We've got this perfect storm brewing. I'm not surprised. All of a sudden, there's major moves now in the rest of the world lining up behind China.
Lining up behind China because, well, economically, they just seem like the stronger performer. Unfortunately, gold performs well when people retreat to things that have real value. So another thing that has real value is if you're actually producing things, and China is producing more and more things. They make more and more things. So it kind of feels like more of a safe place, doesn't it, Joe?
Yeah, well, I found it was the Wall Street Journal. I knew it was somebody big. Wall Street Journal reporting this morning, China wants center stage. And Jason, this is what I've been saying. I've been saying this for how long? They are not our friends. They are our competitors. And guess what? They're actually they're just sitting there allowing us to do it to ourselves, really. Hey, you guys just do it to yourselves. We'll wait. Do it to yourselves, and then we'll step in.
Yeah, Joe, I think the whole thing is rigged. I think it's all interwoven together at the highest levels. But no matter what, there is definitely competition between countries. I've never said there's not competition between countries. I think it's all rigged from the top. So I don't think it really matters. But yeah, between countries, if you want to live in a country that's economically more prosperous, you don't want to see this stuff, Joe. You don't want to see everything going to China. That's for sure.
Well, and again, I think just like everybody, listen, Brazil's not going to stop taking dollars. They will. They're just going to take less. Yep. Right? Saudi Arabia is not going to stop taking dollars. They're just going to take less. Looking at it this way, because I know a lot of you out there had to move money. I know, because you told me. You had to move money. Man, I don't trust my bank right now. I've got to move it. This is what these countries are doing. It's the same thing. Hey, gosh, I'm looking at my accounts here. Man, I got way too many dollars. Yep. You know what? I got to move it. I got to move some because I've got too many. This is exactly what is happening. Even Elon Musk blowing up Twitter this morning, talking about serious issues with U.S. policy, talking about the United States being that bully. Remember, we've talked about it, right? We're heavy-handed a lot of times. And all of a sudden now, even a guy like, of course, Elon Musk, let's face it. By the way, guess who he's having a meeting with? Yeah, President Xi Jinping in China. But now he's out warning about, hey, we're going to have a dollar problem. Somebody better pay attention. We'll be back. 800-951-0592. A quick look into the markets. Listen, the Dow, Wall Street. I gotta give them a round of applause, right? I mean, not a horrible first quarter, really. I mean, especially the Nasdaq. Next had a great quarter, but the Dow's up almost 200 points today, right at 33,000. That's so funny. It just seems to sit there, doesn't it? Right? Gets 31 and change to 33. The S&P up 26 at 4,000. And then the Nasdaq's up 100 at 12,000. Gold is down $2 at $19.78. Yeah, I know you're like, what? Yeah. Gold just kept rising all day yesterday. 1978. Silver's up 15 more cents, $24.15. You know who doesn't care about dollar trades or trades in renminbis? It's our good friends at YRefi, up to 10.25%, not tied to Wall Street, right? Not tied to the weak hands of Jay Powell or Joe Biden or Janet Yellen. You know the deal, though. You got to have at least 50,000. You can do more, but you got to have at least 50,000. You can use an existing IRA. The interest is compounded daily. If you want to get paid the interest, you can get paid monthly, right? There are no fees, right? Hey, what if I need my money back? You get your entire principal back, period. Up to 10.25% returns. Check them out. Invest, yrefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, refy.com, or call them at 888-YREFI-24. But Jason, the news of the day, well, let's talk about, because there's two interesting. We got inflation data today, and it was in the right direction, lower, but just a little bit. And this is the Fed favorite gauge. Hey, let's take out food. Let's take out energy. In other words, fake inflation. Fake inflation was up 0.3 for the month. They were expecting 0.4, so that was better. Core inflation, fake core inflation, was up 4.6%. The month before was 4.7%. So they got it, Jason, and went down a 10 in the fake numbers. So I guess At least it was the right direction. The problem is, I think that was before gas prices shot back up. But we'll see. But it doesn't really matter. They throw that out anyway. Take out food, take out energy. Those were the fake data points of the day. I don't think that was enough to move it either way, right? At least it wasn't higher, right? Because that would have been horrible, right? Higher would have just been terrible.
I don't think that's low enough, fast enough. I think these numbers are going to come down, Joe. It's just I see what they're doing. I see the game that's being played, and what you said in the first segment about these other countries moving out of dollars. That means whatever dollars are holding have to come back, and it takes a while for these things to absorb into the system. So we're still kind of absorbing all of the rate hikes from 2022. A lot of that's just really starting to show now. So now we're not really we're doing quarter point, and we'll see if they keep doing quarter point, which I think they will. But it'll take a while, as these inflation numbers, I think, will go down a little bit, Joe, and then they'll talk about how great things are, and maybe they'll decide to stop raising rates and all this other stuff. But then completely separate from this, if these foreign dollars and other dollars just keep coming, we're going to see a huge spike in inflation. I think we see inflation come back roaring like a monster, either later this year or early next year. And it's going to be a major. Then we'll really be talking about bank failures on 10 a week or something, Joe. We'll start to see some crazy stuff.
Please be wrong. Please be wrong. Right? I mean that's all I'm saying right there. And I loved I don't think it's going down fast enough.
It's not going down fast enough.
A tenth isn't enough because what Jason's talking about. So that first week in May. That first Wednesday in May, are they going to go another quarter point? Right now, I will tell you right now, that is what they want to do. And I don't know why, but they are very much married to, man, we want to get one more in there. And I think after that, they all want, okay, we got for somehow to say they are going to be over 5%, between 5 and 5.25%. For some reason, they want to call that success. And to Jason's point, is the only way to get off of that is because if core's at 4.7, well, that means the headline's probably either 6, right, where it was last time, or maybe 5.9, right? That's not enough. And of course, we all know, really, if you want inflation to go down, the Fed funds rate's got to be higher than the headline inflation number. But somehow, I guess I'll say, well, if inflation's in the 5s and we're in the 5s, close enough. We'll be at 5.1, inflation's 5 now, but it's 5. And I think that's what they're hoping to get to. Unfortunately, that just makes things worse, not better. And again, like I said, understand what these nations are doing. This is a bank run on treasuries. This is what this is. And it's not by accident. This isn't coincidence. Right? They've been talking about it. We've talked about it. Do you think it's by accident all of them started to happen now? No. Right? All of these countries, they were getting nervous. Well, you know what? Let's get something set up. I'll liken it to this. You know what they were doing? They were going to another bank and opening up a bank account. Now, they just put a few dollars in there. Okay? Hey, here's these are countries, right? Yeah, we're going to put $1 million in there. We'll put $1 million in there. That's nothing. But, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to leave it there. But we got the account open. And then all of a sudden, here comes a banking crisis. And all of a sudden, guess what? Hey, time to start putting more money in that account. Getting back to the Brazil deal. Right after that, Elon Musk took to Twitter. Serious issues. U.S. policy been too heavy-handed, making countries want to ditch the dollar, combined with excess government spending. And man, this year's deficit is going to be ugly. I mean, right now, if you say, what do you think it's going to be? 2.8 trillion, could be 3 trillion. I mean, that's how bad we're talking about. Excess government spending, forcing other countries to absorb a significant part of our inflation, and they just don't want it anymore. Here's how it went down. The Brazilian government announced that they have reached a deal to ditch the U.S. dollar in all trade with China. So this is across the board. I was thinking maybe this was just because Brazil's a huge ag exporter, that maybe this was just going to be like corn and soybeans, right? The big stuff. Apparently, all bilateral trade between Brazil and China will now be conducted in renminbis and reals. And they also went on to say, Jason, that China is their largest trading partner. This is about $150 billion a year in trade. So think about China. They have about $800 billion, $800+ billion. They've been selling treasuries all along. I don't even know what Brazil has. But let's just say right now, this deal between these two countries, Jason, they need $150 billion less in treasuries than they did before. Not more, less.
That's right. Yep, that's right. That's the bones of how it works, Joe. I mean, if you have a Ponzi scheme, you have to increase the amount of money or whatever you're using. In this case, Federal Reserve notes, and you're talking about a case after case after case of less dollars. This hurts the scheme, Joe. And you were talking a minute ago about the banks. Funny thing kind of occurs to me that you have a couple of banks. We have this big emergency that happens. They're trying to cool off the whole situation now, but when you got to remember fractional reserve lending, right, Joe? Which is when a bank receives a deposit, they can loan 9x against that. So if let's just say that we know they control the news cycle and they want to make Silicon Valley Bank seem like a massive emergency, which it can very well turn into a massive one if it keeps going, and it will keep going. But think about all the banks getting these new deposits, Joe. They don't need the Fed to give them money. The way fractional reserve lending works, they can lend out 9x above that deposit.
Yeah.
So by having this money move around, Joe, kind of puts a little Band-Aid on it for a little bit, doesn't it?
I'm glad you brought that up. We're not there yet. So let's put a pin in that, because it's very interesting where the money is going and how it's going. And a lot of it, obviously, we know has been going to the too big to fail banks, but it's ending up in the money markets, a lot of it, which is a little different. So it doesn't allow the 9x plus. So it's a very good point. And it's something that Barclays is talking about as to what the next big run is going to be. And there's negative effects to that. It's different when it's in a checking account or a savings account at a bank versus in a money market account at a bank. So, and again, you shouldn't have it at a bank, period. Right? That's
right.
what we keep telling you. And I probably haven't done a good enough job. I actually had a customer emailing me, and I'm like, man, I've done a terrible job. This is why, you know what? Yeah, Joey's my son, but I promote him for another reason. Northwestern Mutual, they're not a bank. They're not publicly traded, right? They don't have a stock price. They don't do risky things. Look at Northwestern Mutual as kind of like the biggest credit union in the entire world. And it's why they're AAA rated. It's why it's the safest place to go. And you're actually not in a bank. And you're not tied to Wall Street, right? Think about all the major financial institutions. I think everyone would agree, God, Northwestern Mutual, big institution. But go back to the financial crisis. You know whose name no one ever uttered a word about? Northwestern Mutual. You want to know why? Because they aren't involved in it. It's a great place. If you're looking a place to put money, call them 602-909 9048. You know how we are. Get out of the damn banking system. It's just that simple. But we'll get to Jason's point. We'll bring that up in the next segment because I want to finish with the other announcement today. Saudi Arabia. And this is the biggest one by far. And again, it's just because of flat out dollars. And the latest in this shift in global power dynamics. And again, just look at it this way. What's happening? Simply put, these countries are changing banks. That's what they're doing. Now, they're going to keep the U.S. bank account open. They're not closing the account. They're just reducing their exposure to it, right? Hey, I'm not going to have all of that in that I did in there before. The Saudi government announced last night that they have approved a membership in the China-led economic, political, and security bloc. Okay, so again, this is like an extension of BRICS. And Saudi Arabia now essentially saying, you know what? We're part of it. That's a huge deal. And unfortunately, it's not a great deal for the dollar.